Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonnet, the owner and creator behind Sonnet's Garden Blooms, and in today's video, we are flipping this furniture piece. In the month of January, an area that I planned on really focusing on was my craft room. In that area, I am going to be converting a space for my shipping and receiving. I also found this cabinet, which is going to be a perfect addition for that room. This has really great bones. It also came with some shelves, but the interior was completely bare. And the exterior definitely needed some updating. So in today's video, we are going to tackle this beauty. For starters, I wanted the interior to be gravel road, and many of you may think that the interior is absolutely beautiful, all bare wood. I wanted to finish it off, and I wanted it to be really bright inside, not like stark white bright, but just a brighter color. So I went ahead and I applied 2 even coats of gravel road to the interior. As I'm letting that dry, I then started tackling the exterior. Now, I thought the coverage on this would have been a little better. I thought maybe just 1 coat, but because of the bare wood and really sucking up that paint, it definitely took 2 coats. As you can see here, that first coat as it's drying, if you haven't worked with DIY paint, it goes on much darker and then it dries lighter, and then when you seal it, it goes back to like in between those 2 colors. Now, as that was drying, I started tackling the exterior. I wanted to work on the doors first because if you noticed with the doors, it looked like it was beadboard. So at one point, there were glass inserts in this cabinet. They must have been broken, and somebody tried to fix it by putting those like faux beadboard pieces in there. I did not like the look of that at all, that faux wood. The whole piece was so beautiful. So I applied 2 coats of the vintage linen DIY paint to both of the doors, the interior side. I'm letting all of the interior then dry, and then I started tackling the exterior. So one thing I did not notice about this cabinet until I painted it white was on the one side of the door, there must have been 1 handle. And then whoever refinished this sealed that off, but did not do a very good job of it until I painted it white. And then I now can see a slight indentation in there. The other thing they did was they drilled 2 holes, but they put it too close, I think, to each of the edges. So I had to find knobs that were very, very tiny. So for starters, I am removing those knobs. I always keep the backside together right away. I just screw it right back on. I can definitely use that for another project. That is another area too that I'm trying to really focus on, is keeping all those pieces together. A lot of times I'll just stash them here or stash them there. And so moving forward, I'm taking all those excess pieces, that hardware, things like that, metal pieces, and I'm keeping that all in a specific area in my garage. With the DIY paint, a question that I receive so often is that when they apply a second coat or a top coat, that sometimes the paint gets pulled back off of the first coat. And anytime DIY paint gets wet, it does reactivate. So when you're applying your second coat of paint, just try to have a very light hand when applying that. So don't like rub your brush really hard against it and try to go on with just a little bit of a thicker, kind of load up your paintbrush or load up your top coat, and then that will prevent you from pulling up the paint. Now, just so you are aware, DIY Paint did come up with their own line of paintbrushes. Mid-January, they will be available currently on my website for pre-order, and there is one called the Feather, and that is perfect for applying top coats and applying your second coat of paint. So here I'm taking Big Top now that the interior is completely finished, and I am putting one even coat of Big Top on the entire piece. While that is drying, I am then going to go back and start tackling the next step on the outside. So I'm going to wet distress just like I do on my smalls. I was going to bring it outside, but it's been raining all day, guys. So let's just try to do some wet distressing and see what we can do. So this wet distressing took over an hour. It took a very, very long time. So you may want to know why I did not get the video out yesterday. Not only did the paint take forever to dry and the clear coat forever to dry, but also wet distressing, something that I could have done with my hand sander very quickly, took me much longer. But on the flip side, the outcome and the look of the piece is probably completely different. I think that I ended up getting a little bit more black showing through versus if I would have used the hand sander, it would have brought more of the wood grain, and it would have definitely had a different look. So I am very appreciative that I did take that extra time to get just little bits of black popping through like it is. With the wet distressing, what I did for this project is I filled up just a bucket of water and I kept rinsing my rag. With smalls, what I'll do is I'll run over to the sink, rinse my rag, come back if I need to wet distress anything else on that small piece. But for this big piece, I did fill up just a bucket and just kept dipping the rag in, wet distressing, and then rinsing out in there. It made for the whole project to go much quicker. Definitely saved me on some steps, but I did have to change the water in the bucket, I think 6 times. So it's still, I had to run a few times. So what are you guys thinking so far as I'm wet distressing this? How are you liking the results? I actually am loving it. Like I said, I'm glad that I took the extra time to do this. What do you actually prefer doing? Wet distressing or using a sander? Or do you not distress at all? I'd love to know in the comments. Here is what it looks like so far. So you can see I distressed along all the areas that were raised. I love this beading along the edge and even on the top there, all that detail. I think having it painted black, you really lost all that beautiful detail, and I really like how distressing it, distressing that vintage linen back to some of that black, it just really makes everything pop. Same with the beadboard doors. I really like how it shows all the detail of those as well. And even on the front, I'm like, I didn't even notice that. So now that it is dry after the wet distressing, I am going ahead and I am going to completely seal the exterior with Big Top, and I just apply one even coat of Big Top to the entire piece. And again, I just work in sections, make sure I have really good coverage, and I do have a drop cloth underneath just in case any of the paint or the Big Top drops. I do have to share a fun little fact with you. In one of my last videos, I did have a viewer say that they have been watching me for quite some time and that they did not realize I was ambidextrous. I thought that was a fun little fact that yes, when I was very young, I did break my right arm, even though I am right hand dominant. I am actually left eye dominant as well, so I don't know if that's what makes it easier because I can do so much with both my hands. But anyways, when I broke my right arm, I taught myself to do everything with my left hand, and since then I just go back and forth. If my right hand gets tired, I just use my left hand. So fun little fact about me. Now, here is the old handle, and let's pick out a new one. Lucky for you guys, or for me, I should say, that every time I go to Hobby Lobby, guys, I always grab a few different handles that I like. I like to use them for different projects, and so I went into my stash and grabbed these 3 different handles. Right away, I liked just the plain ones, but they were too big. So in the end, I settled on those. And I kept on looking at these though, because I really liked them. So what did you guys all think of my flip? Honestly, it is going to be the perfect addition to my craft room, also known as my shipping and receiving area for my inventory. This bad boy is going to be housing all my IOD stamps, and I'm extremely excited to get that in that space to, basically finish up all my organizing. I have tasked myself with that room to be finished by the end of January. At that point, I am going to bring you guys along and show off my space. I'm also going to show it off during a live, so you can either see it during a video or one of my lives. Now, talking about lives, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, I will be unveiling box 3 of my stash. And you as a viewer get to come along and give me ideas and suggestions on what I can do with the items in that box. And then I flip them all for Friday's video. We will be doing this for the next 3 Wednesdays and the next 3 Fridays. And then I have another whole series for you guys. So you guys have a great week, and we will either see you Wednesday for my live or Friday for my video. Have a great night. Bye. Bye.